How do you handle defeat?
気持ちを切り替えますね。
I always change my mentality very quickly. Simply said, sometimes you win because someone's having a bad day. And sometimes somebody beats you because you're having a bad day. Even winning or losing doesn't necessarily even mean really that you're the best. So when you look at the long run, you can't think about you and competing against a rival or rivals. That doesn't even really tell you 100% that you're the best. What you can only do is compare yourself to yourself and try to see how far you can actually go.
So what did Kobayashi do that was different than everyone before him? Here's one thing. He redefined the problem that he was trying to solve.
The key to me was that I had to change the mentality that it was a sport. It wasn't having a meal. It was, to me, I had to think, this is a sport. It has nothing to do with how you normally enjoy a meal. It's just a physical action. My honest opinion was that people were just eating as an extension of regular eating meals. And it looked like they were all like rushing to try to eat more than they normally could. Just one more hot dog, just a little more. And I thought, well, if you just look at it as a way of trying to put something in instead of how much more can I eat than normal, then it really just takes a few questions and a little research on my part and experimentation to see how far I could actually go.
Here's what the other competitive eaters were asking themselves. How can I fit more hot dogs in my stomach? Kobe asked a different question, only slightly different perhaps, at least to a layperson, but it changed everything. His question was, how can I make one hot dog easier to eat? But it wasn't just that. If everyone before him was asking the wrong question, he thought, then maybe he shouldn't give much credence to the existing world record. Maybe it was an artificial barrier that he should just bust right through. This contest had been going on for over 40 years. Why is it that it took until you to kind of change the mental and strategic approach to this sport?
I think people have to have a reason to rethink what could be wrong. If a whole 40-something years or more, if people only see someone eating 25 as the limit, then someone who can eat 20 might think, wow, if I just eat 5 more, I could actually do that. And no one would ever think that anything else could be done. But if you see someone suddenly come and eat 50, then everyone knows that there must be a different approach to the problem. And until something like that happens, people don't question. So maybe I was the reason, maybe I gave them a reason for everyone at the same moment to rethink the problem again.
So I'm curious if you could look around the world at whether it's something having to do with money or government or education. Can you point to something where if people could only rethink the problem, redefine the problem like you did, and not accept the limit of the old world record like you did, can you think of an instance where it might not be so hard to do that, where we'd all be better off if people could do that?
I think it should be used for everything. I think the thing about human beings is that they make a limit in their mind of what their potential is, and they decide that, well, I've been told this, or this is what society tells me, and this is what, or they've just been made to believe something. So if every human being actually threw away those thoughts and they actually did use that method of thinking to everything, the potential of human beings, I think, is really great. I think it's huge compared to what they actually think of themselves. So that is a factor that should be, I mean, if everyone could use it for everything, then everything could be much better.
There's a good bit of evidence that Kobe is right about how artificial barriers can hold us back. he no longer laps the field in competitive eating contests. In fact, Kobe was beaten for several years at Coney Island by an eater named Joey Chestnut, who's still the reigning champion. And the guys who used to eat just 15 or 20 hot dogs now routinely eat 30 and 40. Some of them use Kobe's methods. All of them benefit from knowing that the old limits weren't real. As for Kobe himself, he lives in New York now, but still travels the world eating for a living. But you won't find him in Coney Island on July 4th anymore. A few years back, he got into a contract dispute with the organizers, so he started his own hot dog eating contest, which also takes place in New York on July 4th. This year, he'll be eating at the rooftop of 235th Bar in Manhattan. These days, the hot dog eating contest runs only 10 minutes, but the numbers are even higher. How many do you think you'll eat this year?
More than 72.
More than 72. So more than 6 dozen hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes on 4th of July. What will you do then on the 5th of July?
休んでるだけだと思うよ。
Just resting. I think just resting.
How long does it take to recover?
いや、まあわかんないね。その時の調子だけども。
It depends on how I feel, but
半日ぐらい休んでたいかな。
I'd like to rest for at least half a day.
Oh, that's it. You must be a great athlete, because most of us, if we eat even 3 hot dogs, we need to rest for a whole day. So not only are you better on the front end, you're better on the back end, too. Hey, podcast listeners, on next week's show, what do King Solomon and David Lee Roth have in common?
He says to his servant, bring me a sword. And he says, now.
We'll cut the baby in half. Each mother will get half.
The promoters frequently didn't read the contract writer, and we would have structural, fiscal issues because, hey, there wasn't the proper electricity, load-bearing stress, etc.
Clever ways to sort the guilty from the innocent. That's next time on Freakonomics Radio.
Freakonomics Radio is produced by WNYC and Dubner Productions. Our staff includes David Herman, Greg Rosalski, Greta Cohn, Beret Lamb, Susie Lechtenberg, and Chris Bannon. If you want more Freakonomics Radio, you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or go to Freakonomics.com, where you'll find lots of radio, a blog, the books, and more.